Welcome back to my garage. The brute force engine concept is coming along nicely. Today we add the rest of the features to the cylinder. We machine the head insert and almost finished the external transfers and wastegate mount. Dump valve wastegate mount. The noise in the background is the interface between the blower and the case, and that's been printed. Carbon fiber nylon. Seems like really good stuff for these kind of things. We've done the bulk of the operations on the cylinder and the case, and now it's time for all the small details. First up, clearance for the rotary valve housing and holes for mounting it. Machining the top surface flat again. The liner is protruding a tiny bit here. Bolt holes for the external transfers. Too bad about that mishap there, but it'll be fine though, because it's outside the sealing surface. I've made a mistake here though. When I zeroed the tool, I forgot to add in the feeler gauge I used in between the tool and the... So these holes are offset 1 millimeter in this direction and 1 millimeter in this direction. So luckily they're just pilot holes and they're not too deep, so I'm gonna drill new ones, and hopefully the drill will follow the new holes. I'll make them a little bit deeper. The reason I'm not using my probe for zeroing this part is because it's too high, so my probe won't reach there, or it'll just hit the part. I started experimenting with printing these external transfers in PETG. Then Making for Motorsport left a comment talking about his experience with carbon fiber nylon for pretty much identical parts as I need, intake parts. And I went to watch some of his videos, and I'm sold. And so this is carbon fiber nylon, and as you will see, it works great. There's some warping troubles though. I actually had to GB weld a little bit in a crack here. I'm not sure if it's actually splitting apart, but just for good measure. That's my fault, because after it's been printed, it will warp some, especially large flat surfaces. And I did sand it somewhat flatter, not completely, and when I tighten it down, I heard some cracking sounds, and it is splitting here, so I should have just made it completely flat before trying to tighten it down. The interface block between the blower and the case I'm testing with a 5 degrees higher extrusion temperature. I tried with some more flow, more plastic extruded, but it looked really bad, so I turned it back down again. Anyway, go check out his channel, and thank you. I was not aware you could print such materials on a normal printer like my Ender 3. Look what I found in the mailbox. These are 3D printer parts. Let's do this one first. I think it's the filament, the nylon impregnated, or rather carbon fiber impregnated nylon filament. And a micro Swiss direct drive extruder, hardened steel nozzle. This all metal hot end with extruder with better grip, and the hardened steel nozzle should help me print better versions of these. Well, to my defense, actually the first layers turned out great, and what happened was the nozzle clogged. This is PETG. Now I'm going to try nylon carbon fiber. Much higher heat resistance, much stiffer, and even better chemical resistance. After moving the printer into the enclosure and after drying the filament, it turned out perfect. Just perfect. Support were easy to remove, and there's just a little bit of sanding here, and it's perfect. That first attempt outside the enclosure though, that did not turn out too perfect. This material is stiff, like tough as hell. I can just barely make this bend or twist. And it's like 4mm thick at the thickest, and in that O-ring groove it's around 1mm, and still that's just, it's comparable to 6061 aluminium. I think I could do more damage to 6061 than I can to this stuff. Just insane. Perfect. This is one of 4 parts, and the rest are printing as we speak. Last weekend, when I was made aware that this carbon fiber nylon was could be printed on my Ender 3 with slight modifications, I went on a shopping spree and I bought the material thinking I could try printing it on the stock Ender. Then I changed my mind and I ordered a Micro Swiss all metal hot end. Earlier I've been experiencing some filament grinding on the printer, so I thought it would be a good idea to just buy a different extruder. Days after ordering this, I also ordered the direct drive extruder kit for the Ender 3 from Micro Swiss, which included the hot end. So now I've got 2, and that's where you come in. You own a CR10, CR10 S5, S4, S, CR10 Mini, CR20, CR20 Pro, Ender 2, Ender 3, Ender 3 Pro, Ender 5, Tronxy X5S, Tevo Tornado, or AlphaWise U20. You can have this. Leave a comment saying you want in, and I'll draw one of you and send it your way. Because I've got 2 now. Should be all you need for printing this material on your printer. The Fiberforce Nile Force material is actually fairly easy to print with. Bed adhesion was a problem at first. It's really important to use a large brim and also brim on the infill unless you're using a raft. That's important. Otherwise it will start warping and lift itself off the bed in the corners. I'm using a smooth glass bed with a mix of 50-50 water and PVA glue, which I stole from work. I work in a kindergarten and we have lots of PVA glue. That's the same thing as wood glue. And I started using a glue stick at first. One didn't work, one worked better, but the brushing on the PVA glue and water mix is much smoother, creates a much smoother surface. From my little experience, it seems like it's a good idea to clean all the glue away with water and then maybe some alcohol, and apply a new layer between each print. I tried printing with the glue layer from the previous print and it failed, and I'm not sure if it was the glue layer. It looked fine, but as a precaution. My print settings for the Ender 3 with the Micro Swiss all metal hot end and the direct drive extruder kit from Micro Swiss is I've been printing these parts at 50 millimeters per second. I think maybe that's a bit too fast, and that's why there's some trouble with layer separation in this piece. Actually not trouble, but it's the internal forces are trying to pull it apart. So now I'm printing at 40 millimeters per second, and I'm printing 40 millimeters per second, 100% flow, 275 degrees Celsius. I've upped it 5 degrees for better layer adhesion. 70 degrees Celsius bed in an enclosure, no extra heating, and it stays at a steady 50-55 degrees Celsius in the enclosure. And the printer seems to be coping with that fine. That's it for now. Next we'll machine the head cover, print the second reed external transfer thing here, and that interface between the blower and the case, and we'll have to hone the cylinder and start thinking about pulleys and stuff, and also we'll machine the rotary valve and the driver stuff for it and all that stuff. Yeah, just keep on keeping on. See you next time.